This lesson is over converting fractions to percents and percents to fractions. So 1/2, which of course our pizza is modeling over here, can be written as a fraction, as 1 out of 2, as a decimal, 0.5, but it could also be written as a percentage. So percentages are all out of 100, so half of 100% is 50%. A quarter can be written, as our picture models, 1 out of 4, or as 0.25. And then all fractions are out of 100, or sorry, all percents are out of 100. So 1/4 of that percentage of that 100 is 25. So to convert a fraction to a percent, there's two different ways to look at it. The one that always works is when you excuse me, divide the numerator by the denominator. Basically, you're turning it into a decimal. And then you're going to multiply it by 100, which again means move it to the right twice, and then include a percent sign. So 3 divided by 16, 16 goes into 30 one time, and you have 14 left over. Bring down your 0, and of course you continue this process until you get this decimal. From the decimal form, you multiply by 100 because all percents are out of 100, which gives you 18.75. So 4/5 is the same as 8/10. So that's 0.8 if you remember your memorization numbers. If not, you can do the division. 5 goes into 40 8 times. Once you know that it's 0.8, you move it over twice, which means you have to add a 0. And so that's 80%. Please don't forget the percent sign. It makes it a totally different number. So then 200 divided into 32 does not go into 32, but it does go into 320 once. Add a 0 and take it down. 200 goes into 200 one time with nothing left over. So you're going to move it over twice, and that's 11%. On the next one, it's going to be 1 point something. So this is going to be 8 divided into 7. 8 does not go into 7, but it does go into 7D. 8 times 8 is 64. You have 6 left over. 8 goes into 60 7 times. That's going to be 56. So you have 4 left over. Bring down your 0. 8 goes into 40 5 times. So it's 1.875. Move your decimal over twice, and it's going to be 187.5%. Now the reason this one is bigger than 100% is because it had a whole number over here. None of these had whole numbers, which is why they were less than. There is another way that you can do this that may be a little bit easier sometimes, but it doesn't work all the time. If you can multiply the denominator by something to come up with 100, you should do that. So 5 times, excuse me, 20 is 100. So if you multiply the top, that gives you 80. So all percents are out of 100. That means this number is 80%. That will also work if you can divide this number by something to make it 100. So in this case, we divide by 2, which gives us 16 out of 100. Sorry, that's, yeah. I think I multiplied something wrong here. Let me look. Because I got 11%, so this should not have worked that way. Okay, I don't know what I did when I did my division, but I did something wrong. So that should have been a 16%. So this is going to be 16% because it's 16 out of 100. On this last one, that would not have worked though, because there's no easy number that you can multiply by to turn 8 into 100. So this is the most effective method for that. To convert a percent into a fraction, you're just working backwards. Now, all percents are out of 100, so all you do is take your percent and put it over 100. Then you're going to simplify your fraction. So this can be divided by 10, which gives you 4 over 10. But always make sure you simplify completely. So both top and bottom can be divided again to give you 2/5. 104% is 104 out of 100. So we're going to put that over 100, and then we're going to start reducing. So both of these can be divided by 4, which gives me 26 over 25. I'm not allowed to have improper this year, so 25 goes into 26 one time with 1 left over. This one's a little trickier. It's 0.5%, but it's still out of 100, so you just put that over 100. We're not allowed to have decimals inside of a fraction, so we actually have to multiply this top by 10, which means we also have to multiply the bottom by 10. Now we have a good fraction. It just needs to be reduced. So 5 divided by 5 is 1. 1,000 divided by 5 is 200. So 23% over 100 cannot be simplified. 15 over 100. I can divide both top and bottom by 5. And that's as far as I can simplify it. 110 over 100. I can divide both of these by 10, which gives me 11 over 10. And then 10 goes into 11 one time with 1 left over. 0.2 over 100. I've got to move that one time on both top and bottom to make them whole numbers. Divide the top by 2 and divide the bottom by 2, and I get a completely simplified fraction. 9% over 100 can't be reduced. 1.5% over 100. I've got to move it to get rid of the decimal. And then I can divide both top and bottom by 5. And then that one is reduced completely. There are a few more problems that I want to add to this since it wasn't probably explicitly explained earlier, and that is how to take a decimal to a fraction and decimal to a percent and a percent to a decimal. So if you've got 0.23, you can turn that to a percent by multiplying by 100, because all percents are out of 100. So if I did 0.187, multiply by 100 gives me 18.7%. However, to move the other direction, if I have 15%, the decimal is right here, I would move the opposite direction, which means I would divide by 100, which would give me 0.15. If I had this percent, again, I would divide by 100, and that would give me 1.875. So now you should have all three forms. You should be able to convert a fraction to a decimal and to a percent. You should also be able to convert a decimal to a fraction and to a percent. You should be able to take a percent and take it into a fraction and a decimal.